Hi everyone, today we will learn another way of looping in R using apply, lapply, and sapply functions. So with this function, our code will look more easy to understand, shorter, and we can avoid making mistake by using a traditional looping, for example, for loop. And also the code can run a bit faster than using traditional looping in R. So in R, we have many apply functions. For example, with the apply function in here, we can use this to apply a function over over columns or over rows of a matrix or over another dimension of an array. And this will return a vector array or list. For example, here I can use apply function to calculate column mean, for example. And with lapply, we can apply a function over a vector or a list. For example, here I have a list which consists of a vector and a metric. So I can use lapply to calculate the mean of this vector and the mean of this metric. And sapply function, it differs with lapply in the way that we can custom the data type of output. For example, with lapply, we can only get a list result as a list, but with sapply, you can get a result as a vector, metric, or array. And now let's open RStudio and do some application with these apply functions. Here's my RStudio. So the link to this R script you can see in the video description. So let's create a metric and work with apply function. So here's our metric. It has 4 rows and 3 columns. So we're going to get mean of row by apply function. Metric rows, mean of rows should be 1 and column should be 2, and mean. Control enter. So this is the mean of the first row, this mean of second row, and so on. And if we say that simplify fonts, it will return a list. If we say this true, control enter, by default it will return a vector. So this is actually the first element of the list, and so on. It will combine to a vector. And if we want to get the mean by column, apply the metric in here. Column should be 2 and mean. Control enter here. So let's see a metric again. So our metric is here. So the first is the mean of the first column. This is the mean of the second column, and so on. And if we want to calculate something that doesn't exist in R, we can create our own function. Apply, for example, here, let's calculate sum of square of each row. So metric over the row, we need to create a function. So the input is a row in this case. We say that's it x. And we want to calculate the sum of square. Here, control enter. And this is the sum of the first row square. And this is sum of square of the second row. Yeah, and so on. And if we want to calculate the quantile of row, for example, first we need to see what is the quantile function. Quantile. So the quantile function, we need to input here the vector and the probabilities. So for example, let's try with the quantile function to understand first. Quantile, let's say a vector from 1 to 10, and we want to calculate as a probability of 5% and 95%, control enter. Here is, and this is the vector of 1 to 10. And here we want to apply this not to this vector but over the rows of this matrix, and with this probability we can say that apply the matrix over the row and one time. And how to input the argument of this function? We just simply put it behind the function here. And if we need to have other argument, if we need to control another argument, we can put after this. Control enter. And now here's, this is the 50%. Sorry, we need to add 5%. So it should be like this. This is the fifth and 95 percentiles of the first rows. We can get the output at least by saying that simplify fonts. Here, easier to read. So this is the 5th and 95th percentile of the first row and so on. And we can also you apply to not a metric of numeric number, but also to a metric of words. For example, here we have a metric of words which mix up lower and uppercase. We want to convert all to lowercase. So apply using apply metric of words in here over the rows and to lower. Now we have a metric of words all are in lowercase. And apply function, with apply function we can work with vector or list. Let's say with vector first, and here's our vector from 1 to 10. So we just want to calculate the square root of each element of this vector. We can use lapply and then vector and the function square root. Okay, here's square root. 1 is 1, of 2 is 114, and similar to the above this case. If we need to control the arguments of this function, we can put it after this. And now let's have a list. In here, a list consists of 2 elements. The first one is a vector, second one is a metric, and we want to calculate the mean of this vector and mean of this metric using lapply our list, our function in mean, control enter. So the result is a list. This is mean of 1 to 10, 5.5, mean of all of this number. And if we want to calculate the quantile also at probability of 5%, let's say 0.05 and 0.95 here. Yeah. And the last thing is sapply function. So with sapply function, it's similar to lapply, but we can custom the data format of the output, the data type of the output. For example, here we can use this, and we just need to change this to S. Control enter. And now the result is a metric. Yeah, we can say simplify fonts, and the result is a list. So yeah, thanks for your interest in this video. If you want to know more information about this function, you can type in help in here. For example, apply. Okay, and let's move to the next video.